Single dad in seat 12F receives amazing honor. Discover what transformed F-22 pilots into heroes. Tom took a deep breath as he maneuvered through the crowded airport terminal, his backpack heavy with both his work gear and a crumpled drawing from Jack, his 7-year-old son. It was a sketch of their house, decorated with stick figures and a big sun, a reminder that home was supposed to be a place of warmth. But as he juggled 2 jobs just to make ends meet, he felt further from that warmth than ever. The security line was endless, each tick of the clock reminding him of how many moments he was missing with Jack. As he boarded the flight and squeezed into seat 12F, he felt a sense of resignation wash over him. He looked out the window, trying to hide the heavy emotion sinking his heart. The round trip wouldn't provide any comfort or relief. But everything changed the moment a group of F-22 pilots settled in the seats next to him, their energy crackling like electricity. They wore their flight suits like badges of honor, vibrant and alive with stories of bravery. "Hey there. You're a soldier too, right?" one of them asked, a pilot with a contagious grin. Tom nodded, his chest tightening. He hadn't worn his uniform in years, the memories still sharp but mingled with a sense of loss. As the plane soared into the sky, Tom found himself swept into a conversation that stirred something deep inside him. The pilots, just back from a heroic mission, animatedly recounted how they rallied together to save countless lives in a tense combat situation. Tom felt small, his own struggles fading against their bravery. Yet, as he hesitated, he finally shared his story. Being a single dad was a battle of its own. The fatigue, the worry, it was suffocating sometimes. "I just want to be a good father for Jack," he said, voice heavy with emotion. The pilots listened intently, nodding with understanding. They may fly jets at incredible speeds, but they recognized the weight Tom carried, the everyday heroism of fatherhood. Just like they saved others, he was fighting for his son. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. At that moment of shared vulnerability, the pilots exchanged glances, silently recognizing the hero within Tom. They invited him to a ceremony honoring their valor, a convention celebrating all who rise to challenge. "You deserve to be recognized too," the pilot said, and Tom's heart raced. Honor and duty surged within him, but doubt flickered like an unsteady flame. Did he really belong in the same category as those who executed incredible feats? Meanwhile, back home, Jack was feeling his own weight of disappointment, longing for his dad's presence. His little fingers traced the outlines of that drawing, searching for reassurance in the crayon colors that brightened up the lonely room. Tom's heart ached at the thought. He felt like he was failing at his most significant job. As the plane continued its ascent, Tom wrestled between the excitement of being recognized and the pull of his fatherly duties. What did it mean to be a hero? The thought clung to him like a ghost. Ahead lay a chance that could redefine them both, but at what cost? With Jack's trust hanging in the balance, Tom steeled himself for the flight home, knowing he had a choice to make. A crucial moment awaited. What did being a true hero really mean, especially when faced with the most significant fight of all, being there for his boy? Tom's thoughts were a whirlwind as the plane leveled out. The chatter of the pilots around him faded into the background, replaced by the thundering beat of his heart. What does it take to be a hero? He mused, staring out at the cloud-streaked horizon. He was caught in a battle of his own, teetering between the exhilarating allure of recognition and the unwavering love he had for Jack. In the cabin, the pilots continued their animated discussion. One of them, a tall woman with bright eyes, shared a story of a young pilot who had pushed through fear to save his crew during a critical mission. "He didn't think twice," she said, her voice filled with admiration. "He acted on instinct, driven by the need to protect his own." Tom felt a spark of something. Was it inspiration? or an insatiable longing to embody that spirit. The idea of being that fierce protector for Jack sent a surge of warmth through him. Yet, the thought of leaving his son behind for something that felt so foreign made him wince. Could he really step into a spotlight meant for someone who had fought through war? As the flight pressed on, an announcement rang through the cabin. "Ladies and gentlemen, we will soon begin our descent into Chicago." The moment jolted Tom back to reality. Home. The word echoed in his mind like a lifeline. Jack would be waiting for him, his face lit with the excitement of seeing his dad. Yet in that fleeting moment, doubt took the stage once more. What if Jack saw him differently after tonight? Would he truly admire his dad, or would he see only a man who left when he was needed the most? Tom's hands gripped the armrest as every potential outcome played out in his head. Each scenario felt more daunting than the last. "Are you okay?" The pilot with the contagious grin leaned over, concern etched on his face. Tom forced a smile, shaking his head as if to dismiss the weight pressing on his chest. "Just thinking," he replied, but the truth was heavier than air. "What that kid said earlier. It takes a village," the pilot continued, his excitement rekindling. "It's true. Heroes come in many forms. Your job as a dad. That's heroic too. Every day you get up to fight for him. That's what matters." Tom's heart lifted, a glimmer of hope breaking through the clouds of uncertainty. His thoughts drifted back to Jack and the drawing. Maybe being a hero didn't mean valor on a battlefield, perhaps it was simply enduring the small battles in everyday life. As the plane banked, Tom imagined Jack's laughter, the way his eyes sparkled with joy when he told silly stories. The warmth of his son's smile flooded back, filling the emptiness that had threatened to engulf him. Wasn't that what being a father was all about? With each passing moment, Tom felt a shift within himself, an acceptance that his journey wasn't about accolades or applause, but about love and presence. The ceremony might not be for him, but honoring Jack and being the dad he needed was worth a lifetime of applause. As they landed, adrenaline surged through him. He wanted to hug Jack close, to tell him everything was all right, that he was enough. But in the back of his mind lingered the invitation to the ceremony. Should he attend or stay home where his heart truly belonged? Stepping off the plane, the choice loomed like a fork in the road. It was time to decide. Would he chase glory and risk losing what mattered most, or would he embrace the everyday heroics that shaped the foundation of their little world? The path forward shimmered with uncertainty. Tom took a deep breath, ready to confront his fears and doubts. But one burning question remained: what would he ultimately choose? As Tom stepped onto the tarmac, the cool Chicago air wrapped around him like a much-needed embrace. He stood still for a moment, allowing the sounds of the airport to wash over him, the distant roar of jet engines, the chatter of families reuniting, and the laughter of children chasing each other around. It was a world buzzing with life, a world that felt so vibrant, so full of possibility, but it wasn't the environment that held him captive, it was thoughts of Jack that unraveled his heart like a spool of thread. What was his son doing right now? Was he eagerly scanning the crowd for his dad? The idea alone made him smile, a flicker of warmth piercing through his anxiety. But would his smile fade when he realized Tom wasn't a celebrated hero, but a dad filled with uncertainties? Fighting through the crowd toward the exit, Tom's feet moved almost on autopilot. The invitation to the ceremony felt like a weighty anchor pulling him in one direction while the gravity of home tugged him back. Should he swing by the ceremony and see what it was all about, or rush home to Jack, wrap him in a hug, and just be there? Pushing through the glass doors into the bustling terminal, Tom spotted a familiar figure off in the distance. Jack was bouncing on his feet, his little fists balled up with excitement. The sight took Tom's breath away. His son's face illuminated the gray haze of doubt swirling inside him. That cheeky grin, those sparkling blue eyes, he was everything that mattered. "Dad!" Jack shouted, nearly squirming in place as Tom neared. The sheer joy radiating from his son pulled Tom forward with urgency, as if the rest of the world had faded away. Tom dropped to one knee, arms open wide. Jack launched himself into the embrace, laughter bubbling up from both of them. "I missed you so much," Jack exclaimed, his words wrapped in innocent enthusiasm. Tom squeezed him tightly, the worries melting like snow in the sun. "I missed you too, buddy. How was your day?" Jack began recounting the adventures of the day, his energy infectious. "We built a fort. And I drew a picture of us in that fort. And I made lunch. Well, I tried, but—" He paused dramatically, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. "I burnt the toast." Tom chuckled, the warmth of Jack's joy enveloping him. No accolades could rival that fleeting moment of pure connection. He realized then that this was his favorite role, that of a dad, silliness and all. Yet, as they walked out of the terminal hand in hand, the nagging thought remained. The ceremony was still looming, still tempting. What if Jack wanted to see what all the fuss was about? Would it matter to him? "Dad, can we go by that place with the giant hot dogs?" Jack's voice pulled Tom out of his thoughts. "And can we see the planes too? You know, the really big ones." Tom chuckled, squeezing Jack's hand a little tighter. "Absolutely, we can do that." But even as they walked towards the parking lot, the allure of that ceremony was still like a siren call in the back of his mind. What did it mean to be that kind of hero for Jack, to chase glory? Did he have the courage to take Jack along to a place that might unveil a piece of who he felt he couldn't be? The car keys jangled in Tom's pocket, but he felt stuck between two worlds, one where he stayed true to being a dad and another that sang the praises of heroism. Could he show Jack that the bravest thing he could do was simply to embrace being there? That question lingered, casting a long shadow over the joyous reunion as Tom and Jack headed toward the unknown, the voices of the crowd swirling around them like whispers of fate. Could it possibly be that he would find the answer in a single, unexpected moment? Tom and Jack hopped into the car, settling into the familiar rhythm they'd shared for years. Tom adjusted the rearview mirror, watching the bustling airport slip away as they drove. Jack's animated chatter filled the space, a delightful soundtrack to the otherwise mundane sounds of the engine. "Did you know that if you stand under a plane when it lands, it feels like the ground shakes?" Jack was wide-eyed with excitement, clearly eager to share every fact he had picked up. "Well, I wouldn't want to try that," Tom replied with a chuckle. "But I think you'd love to watch them take off. It's pretty cool from the right angle." Jack's eyes sparkled like he had discovered a treasure. Can we go watch the planes first?" Tom nodded, feeling a swell of affection. He turned toward the airport's observation deck, letting the thought of the ceremony fade. Here, in this moment, Jack's excitement was an invitation to embrace everyday magic, something more gratifying than any award. It was hard not to grin at his son's enthusiasm. When they arrived, they found a crowded space buzzing with families, eager children pointing skyward at the massive aircraft soaring by. They walked over to a spot where the planes cast shadows over them, making them feel small and insignificant. "Look, Dad. That one's taking off." Jack squealed, jumping up and down as the roaring engine vibrated through their bodies. Tom smiled but felt a tug at the back of his mind, a whisper that nagged at him. The ceremony was still out there, a bright flash of honor and recognition that tempted him from afar. If he didn't go, would Jack see him as less than a hero? "Hey, can we head up there?" Jack pointed toward a small hill where a group of kids had gathered to race toy airplanes. "I want to race." "All right, racing sounds fun." Tom agreed, trying to push the unease to the back of his mind. They found a grassy spot, the sunlight warming their faces. After some playful tussling and a lot of laughs, they finally settled down, launching Jack's bright red toy airplane into the air. "Look! It's flying just like a real one." Jack's laughter was a melody that soothed Tom's deepest worries. In that moment, Tom wasn't searching for applause, he was simply a dad, watching his son revel in the joy of flight. But even happiness had its shadows. A wave of responsibility washed over him again. The weight of unfulfilled dreams loomed large as Jack's laughter faded into a gentle hum of voices around them. Did he need to chase this honor? Would that make him a better dad in Jack's eyes? Dad? Jack's voice broke through Tom's thoughts, full of innocence and curiosity. What's a hero? The question took Tom by surprise. He shifted uneasily, his heart pounding. Well, buddy, a hero is someone who does something really brave or amazing, I guess. Like you? Jack asked, eyes wide, as if he had just unearthed a secret. Tom's chest tightened. No, buddy. Heroes are really special. You know what? Sometimes being a hero means just being there for someone you love. Like how you're here with me. Jack beamed, and suddenly Tom felt tears prick the corners of his eyes. Exactly. For a fleeting moment, his doubts faded away in the warmth of that connection. The honor, the accolades, they seemed distant now. But would the past allow him to stay? Would he find the courage to face the ceremony or simply stay in this cherished moment? As Jack's laughter echoed around them, the allure of recognition crept back into Tom's thoughts. Suddenly, everything felt heavy again. The line between who he was and who he needed to be faded, a complexity he hadn't anticipated, with Jack's playful giggles filling the air, the tension mixed with anticipation. Would this moment guide him? Or would he still find himself pulled toward the ceremony, seeking validation in places he wasn't sure he belonged? Tom took a deep breath as Jack flew his toy again, searching for the answer hidden in the thrill of flight. Could he hold on to this joy while chasing the shadows of his past? Jack's laughter rang out like a bell, clear and joyous, wrapping around Tom like a warm embrace. Each time the toy airplane soared through the sky, a fleeting part of Tom's worry evaporated, replaced by pure, unfiltered joy. Yet, the tug of the impending ceremony lingered, a ghost murmuring at the edges of his consciousness. Let us do it again, Dad. Jack shouted, clutching the toy tightly. The red plane was now a conduit of his imagination, soaring through the clouds, defying gravity and all limits. Tom watched his son, fascinated. Jack's excitement was infectious. Still, a part of him ached. Who did he want to be for Jack? The dad who chased dreams or the one who sat in the grass, entranced by the magic of his child's laughter? As they took turns launching the airplane, each flight felt like a metaphor. Jack would toss it high, and it would dance on the wind, echoing the way Tom felt about his own dreams. Just let it fly. He shouted cheerfully, but inside, he grappled with fear of not being enough, of losing his shot to be recognized. Hey, watch this, Dad. I can make it loop. Jack declared, his small hands moving animatedly as he demonstrated what he wanted to do. Tom leaned forward, eyes sparkling with anticipation. With an enthusiastic throw, Jack propelled the plane into the air. It did a remarkable loop, and both father and son erupted into cheers. Jack's joy washed over Tom, momentarily dousing the flames of anxiety. See? You're the best pilot. Tom laughed, ruffling Jack's hair. But just as quickly, doubt crept back in. Was this the life he wanted? Moments of pure joy, but now overshadowed by lingering questions about recognition and the necessity of proving oneself. Can you be a hero and still just be here? Jack interrupted his thoughts. That innocent question sparked a fresh wave of emotion. Of course, buddy, Tom said, surprised by the strength in his own voice. In fact, sometimes being a hero means staying where it matters most. Jack's expression turned serious for a moment. So, can you come to my races and not go to the ceremony? The question struck Tom like a bolt. You really don't care about that stuff? He asked, searching his son's eyes, which held a clarity he couldn't quite grasp. Jack shrugged, reflecting a maturity beyond his years. It just seems like it's more fun with you. Races are more important. I mean, the ceremony feels far away. Tom stared at him, taken aback. Jack had just vocalized the struggle he couldn't express. Here was his son, prioritizing time spent together over any accolades. It was a revelation that sent shivers through him, a reminder of what truly grounded their bond. A silence enveloped them, the kind that brings clarity. Could Tom really choose this path? Could he say no to the applause and still feel whole? "Yeah, I think you're right," Tom said, carefully choosing his words. "I think we'll stick to what's right in front of us today." The sunlight glimmered, casting golden hues over the park, wrapping both of them in a cocoon of hope. But just as they basked in this understanding, a distant voice broke through, an announcement blaring from the observation deck. "And the recipient of today's Hero Award is Tom Reynolds." The speaker boomed, the echoes sending butterflies flitting nervously in Tom's stomach. The applause instantly reached their ears, vibrant and jubilant. Jack looked at his dad, wide-eyed, excitement pulsing through him. "That's you." The moment hung in the air, heavy with realization. Tom felt the weight of choices pressing down. What did he want in that instant? "Come on, Dad. Let us go." Jack tugged his hand, urgency in his voice. Tom's breath hitched. He stood at a crossroads. Stay in the memories being made, or step toward his past with the radiance of applause lighting the way. Would he follow Jack across the hill into the world of momentary glory, or would he find the courage to embrace this simple day of laughter and joy? The choice felt monumental, and in that breath of hesitation, everything hung in the balance. Tom's heart raced, a tumult of emotions flooding through him. He glanced down at Jack, whose eyes sparkled with unabashed excitement. The sound of applause felt like a wave crashing over them, pulling Tom toward the stage, yet a deeper part urged him to stay. "Dad, come on." Jack urged again, bouncing on the balls of his feet. "Just give me a second, buddy," Tom replied, his voice strained. He knelt down, lowering himself to Jack's level. "This award, it's not just mine. It's about everyone, you know. The people who work hard, who fight for what's right." Jack tilted his head, confusion flickering across his face. "But they're going to want you there. You're a hero." Tom winced at the label. Hero. The word felt heavy. It conjured thoughts of bravery and sacrifice, things he didn't think he deserved, especially not when compared to the joy Jack radiated in that moment. "What if this prize isn't what it seems?" he said quietly. "What makes me a hero isn't that trophy and applause?" Jack interrupted, his voice firm. "It's about being here with me, Dad." Tom felt his chest tighten, an ache blossoming within him. Here was his son, teaching him the most important lesson of all. He wanted to be present, wanted to share in every small victory Jack ever had. But that voice in the back of his head wouldn't be quiet. "If I don't go, what will people think?" he questioned aloud, feeling the familiar pressures of expectation gripping him. "Who cares?" Jack said, his words sharp and clear. "It's just noise. We can be our own kind of heroes." In that instant, Tom understood Jack wasn't merely seeking his father's presence, he sought to build memories that would shape their lives, a legacy of laughter and togetherness. Suddenly, the desires of the crowd melted away, the echoes of the applause turning into a muted background sound, insignificant against the vibrant melody of Jack's laughter. "Okay, let us go to your races," Tom said, his voice steadier, stronger now. He took a deep breath, releasing the anxiety that had gripped him. "We'll take this plane one way or another." Jack's face broke into a beam. "Really? We can fly that plane together?" "Absolutely," Tom responded, the weight of obligation vanishing, replaced by pure joy. He stood and took Jack's hand, and together they turned away from the ceremony. As they walked past clusters of onlookers, Tom cast a final glance at the stage, where the spotlight shone brightly. He swallowed hard but felt lighter instead of heavier. In this choice, he embraced his truth, his role as a father over a fleeting moment of recognition. They returned to the grassy field, where the only sound was the gentle rustling of the leaves, and the warm sunshine bathed them in comfort. "Now, show me how to make that plane loop again," Tom said, excitement bubbling up as they resumed their play. Jack took a few steps back, focusing intently. As the red toy plane lifted into the air once more, soaring and looping, Tom felt a flutter of joy in the pit of his stomach. He felt whole, truly alive in this moment. "See, Dad?" Jack exclaimed as he watched the plane glide. "Best pilot ever." Tom laughed, and for the first time that day, it felt genuine. Amidst the laughter, something tingled in Tom's heart, the realization that perhaps being a hero was about choosing what truly mattered, but as the plane tilted in the sky, a shadow shifted across his thoughts. What would the world say when the camera panned back to that stage, missing the emerging stories that had just begun? The afternoon light softened, transforming into an uncertain twilight, and as they played their simple game, Tom caught sight of someone he recognized watching from a distance. The mystery of that presence stirred something deep within him. What if this person held the key to a connection he hadn't even considered? As the plane soared high, a question hung heavy in the air: was he truly ready to navigate this uncharted territory of family, dreams, and potential reconnection? Tom's instincts kicked in as he squinted against the dusk light, trying to make sense of the silhouette hovering at the periphery of the park. His heart quickened. Was it someone from his past? A ghost he had worked hard to forget? The urge to bolt, to whisk Jack away, battled fiercely with the curious pull of a reconnection long resisted. "Dad? Look! It's going up." Jack's voice brought him back into focus. The little boy was shouting at the plane, eyes glued to it, and Tom felt a wave of warmth rush over him. Jack's joy was intoxicating, casting a soothing balm over Tom's turmoil. But the figure lingered just beyond reach, an anchor weighing heavy on Tom's conscience. "What's up, buddy?" Tom asked, kneeling again to match Jack's height, swallowing down the nagging unease that fluttered within him. "The plane, Dad. It's flying higher." Jack's fingers pointed skyward, but as Tom turned to look, he felt the tug of uncertainty grow stronger. Right. Great flying," he said with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes, his mind still drifting to the stranger. He shook his head, trying to dispel the unknown. They were here, now, together, and that was what mattered. "Can you make it do a barrel roll?" Jack's voice called out, full of innocence and hope. "Sure," Tom said, the enthusiasm returning to their game as he tossed the plane into an arcing loop. Jack cheered, his laughter ringing out, pulling Tom into the moment, anchoring him in this bubble of joy. Yet, with every cheer from Jack, Tom felt whispers from the past creeping back in, gentle but persistent. Go, go, go," Jack encouraged, bouncing on his toes. Every toss of the plane took on more meaning. They were not just flying a toy, they were flying towards something deeper, an exploration of the relationship they had built and the dreams shimmering in the distance. Just then, the figure took a step forward, revealing a familiar face framed by fading light. It was him, Kyle, Tom's old squadron mate. A rush of memories flooded back. Laughter, battles fought side by side, and the day their paths had diverged so sharply. Jack turned to see what caught Tom's attention. "Dad? Who's that?" Tom's throat tightened. It's an old friend." Was it really a friendship that had withstood the test of time? The fight, the sacrifice, the scars, had they meant more than the distance? "Do you want to talk to him?" Jack asked, already sensing Tom's hesitation. A child's instinct. Jack was tuned into Tom's emotions better than anyone else. "He was a big part of my past." Tom's voice faltered, it held both longing and hesitance. "But sometimes, pasts can complicate things. Then let us make new memories. Like the plane," Jack said, his excitement palpable. The logic was simple, yet profound. The innocence of youth urged Tom to confront the very thing he'd been avoiding. Tom took a deep breath. His heart raced. He whirled to face Kyle, who now looked slightly nervous himself, his eyes revealing a mixture of hope and apprehension. "Hey, Tom," Kyle said, extending a hand. "Been a long time." Tom stood there, the warmth of Jack's small hand in his, grounding him amid the weight of their shared history. "Sure has," Tom replied, searching Kyle's eyes for sincerity. Would this encounter lead to an unexpected bridge and perhaps healing? Or another step into a familiar but painful void? Jack, oblivious to the tension, simply leaned against Tom. "Can we all fly the plane together?" Both men froze at the sweetness of Jack's words. A child wanting to bind them, to erase the silence and years of separation. The air thickened with potential. "Maybe we can," Tom murmured, feeling that perhaps this moment was the start of a new flight. As Tom looked into Kyle's eyes, he realized there was only one way to find out. Would they be able to soar together once more? Or would the winds of the past pull them apart again? The question lingered as the fading light shifted, asking Tom to take that leap. Would he rise to meet the challenge, or would he remain grounded in that uncertain twilight? Tom took a deep breath, feeling the tightness in his chest ease just a little. Jack squeezed his hand, an innocent bond that reminded him of all the reasons to move forward. Kyle smiled, his expression softening as he took a step closer. "I'd love to," Kyle said, glancing at the plane in Jack's hand before returning his gaze to Tom. "I've missed this." Tom's heart pounded. Could revisiting their past lead to something meaningful? Or would it unearth wounds that had never really healed? He scanned Kyle's face for signs of regret or anger from years of silence. But all he saw was a familiar warmth, one that had been eclipsed by time and distance. "Okay, let's give it a shot," Tom finally said, a rush of adrenaline spurring him forward. "But let's do it your way, Jack." He dropped to one knee, still holding Jack's small hand in his. "Ready?" he asked, a grin breaking across his face. "Ready." Jack responded, his voice pure enthusiasm. Tom and Kyle bent down, ready to throw the plane together. They lifted their arms, synchronized for the launch. Jack's eyes sparkled with delight as they counted down. 3, 2, 1 go. The plane soared into the darkening sky, gliding gracefully for a moment before dipping slightly. Tom watched it, the worry about respective pasts drifting away, replaced by a shared sense of purpose. "Just like old times," Kyle said, his voice barely above a whisper. Tom nodded, the familiar thrill surging through him. For a second, they were not just old friends, they were brothers forged in the flames of their shared experiences. As they watched the little plane twist in the warm evening air, Jack clapped his hands in excitement. "Dad! Can we do it again?" "No, wait, let's try this one," Kyle suggested, reaching into his backpack. He pulled out a sleek gadget, something that Tom recognized only from old soldier days. "Remember these?" "Definitely," Tom replied, curiosity piqued again. As Kyle explained the toy's features, a knot of nostalgia tugged at Tom. Memories of their youth flooded back, intensity, laughter, reaching for the impossible. And in this moment, standing side by side with his son and a man from a lifetime ago, he felt the past tugging gently, inviting him to reconcile. "Let's make this a day to remember," Kyle said, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. "We can test it out together." Jack bounced with excitement. "Yeah. Let's be the best flyers ever." With easy laughter, the tension that had once hung between Tom and Kyle started to dissolve. They began to discuss old missions, sharing what they could without going deep into the pain of what had happened later. Jack beamed at their camaraderie, absorbed in the moments that echoed with joy, but as they flew the gadgets, cracks of unresolved feelings surfaced. Tom noticed Kyle's hesitant moments, the way his smile faltered when their conversation drifted too close to the hard parts of their shared history. Tom felt a flicker of doubt reignite. What if they weren't ready for this? What if the scars of their past still loomed large, waiting to pull them apart again? Just then, Jack's laughter sliced through the tension. "You guys are like superheroes." Tom caught Kyle's eye, and in that silent exchange, he could see a glimmer of hope mingling with vulnerability. "Maybe we can be," Tom said quietly, meaning it more than he ever had before. But as twilight swallowed the park, the shadows deepened. Would they really be able to bridge the years apart? Or would the shadows between them create barriers too steep to cross? With that lingering question overhead, the warmth of the day began to fade. The last traces of sunlight slipped beneath the horizon, leaving only the excitement and uncertainty of what tomorrow held. Would this day be a new beginning, or just another step into the unknown? The air was thick with anticipation as darkness enveloped the park. Street lamps flickered to life, casting soft pools of light that spilled across the grass. Jack's excitement bubbled, a buoyancy that Tom couldn't help but reflect. It was visible in his smile, his laughter chasing away the lingering shadows of doubt. Yet, even with the joy around him, Tom's heart continued to wrestle with uncertainty. "Look, Dad. I want to fly my gadget next," Jack exclaimed, bouncing on his toes. His enthusiasm was contagious, and for a moment, it felt as though everything could just fall back into place. "Sure thing, buddy. Let us see what you've got." Tom's voice rang with warmth, but as he handed Jack the new toy, he caught the momentary flicker of hesitation in Kyle's eyes. Kyle took a deep breath, as if gathering courage. "You know, I've done some tinkering with these since everything." He navigated the conversation as expertly as he had once maneuvered through conflict zones. Tom nodded, encouraging him. "I can't wait to see what you've come up with." The memory of their shared past felt like both a gift and a weight, and he was grateful for the chance to lighten it. As Jack focused intently on the gadget, he became their anchor, a joyful reminder of flourished beginnings rather than fragmented endings. Kyle and Tom exchanged glances, their lives entwined again in ways that felt both familiar and fraught with challenges yet to be confronted. They found a grassy spot, and Kyle knelt beside Jack. "Okay, little man. This beauty here is designed for some serious flying. Just remember, control is key. Like you guys taught me." Jack grinned. The two watched Jack's face light up with joy. Tom felt that familiar thrill again, the laughter cascading around them, healing little chinks in the wall they had built over the years. For a fleeting moment, the weight of the past felt lighter. Kyle's voice broke the camaraderie. "Just remember, Tom, we can't pretend the past doesn't exist. We have to face it," he said lightly, but Tom felt the gravity behind those words. "Yeah, I know, but can we just enjoy today?" Tom asked, the request more vulnerable than he intended. "Of course," just Jack's shout interrupted, followed by the whir of the gadget as it soared through the air. All three of them turned their attention to the sight, the bright lights flickering like stars briefly igniting hopes. "Look at it go!" Jack cheered, his laughter dancing through the twilight. The gadget swooped and dove, bringing back memories, some sweet, some deeply painful. Successes from old missions, camaraderie, and heartbreak all felt alive once more. Tom swallowed hard as he looked at Kyle. "Do you think we can talk about what happened in Syria? I mean, really talk?" The question hung between them, a mix of apprehension and hope. Kyle opened his mouth, the answer lingering unspoken. Jack was busy, screeching with glee as he flew the gadget high above, blissfully unaware of the tension brewing anew. "Maybe tomorrow?" Kyle suggested. Tom felt a gloss of relief wash over him. "Yeah. Tomorrow sounds good." But now, uncertainty loomed as dusk turned to night. They stood on a precipice of change, teetering between the echoes of their past and a bright, unwritten future. As Jack's laughter faded into the night, Tom couldn't shake the realization of the bittersweet journey they were embarking on. Would confronting their history allow them to navigate toward healing? Or would it push them spiraling back into the pain they had tried so hard to escape? With the stars dimly shining above them, Tom felt the weight of hope and dread intertwining. Tomorrow, they would face the truth together. But for now, they were suspended in the unknown, united yet divided, and deep down, he feared the flight into their past might not lead them back home. Tom's heart quickened with every beat as he absorbed the moment. Underneath the sparks of Jack's laughter, the anticipation of tomorrow's conversation loomed overhead like a storm cloud. But as Jack's gadget soared higher, joy bubbled within Tom, igniting a desire to embrace everything this moment had to offer. "Great job, buddy!" Tom cheered, clapping his hands, his voice spilling encouragement just as Jack's face illuminated with delight. Jack twirled around in ecstatic circles, completely sold on their surprise evening of fun. Tom watched him, his own worries fading as his son's infectious happiness washed over him. "Can you make yours fly like that, Dad?" Jack asked, eyes wide with admiration. "Of course. Just watch me." Tom replied, his spirits lifting as he decided to embrace the here and now. With a burst of energy, he picked up the toy gadget that Kyle had shown him. "Let's see how high it can go. Ready?" Jack screamed, bouncing, excitement radiating from him. 3, 2, 1 launch. They both yelled together, sending the gadget soaring into the night sky like a firework bursting with possibilities. Tom and Kyle stood shoulder to shoulder, watching the gadget dance among the stars. The air was filled with laughter, the weight of unspoken words suspended for a moment. The three of them were united in something altogether lovely and human. Yet, as the gadget began to descend, falling gently back to the ground, reality crept back in. Kyle cleared his throat, glancing at Tom, a seriousness returning to his features. "We can't keep dodging the past, Tom. We need to talk about everything that happened." The laughter echoed in the background, and Tom shivered at the fragility of the peace they had momentarily created. He sighed deeply, bracing himself. "You're right. He paused, searching for the words. "I don't want to ruin this moment. Not now, when everything feels good. Sometimes facing the truth is the best thing we can do for ourselves," Kyle replied softly, his expression a mix of understanding and urgency. "And for Jack too." Jack, entirely unaware of the deeper conversation unfolding, plopped down on the grass, eyes shining. "More flying. Can we try again?" Tom turned to his son, whose innocent enthusiasm radiated warmth through the encroaching chill. In that moment, Tom realized that small dilemmas could be navigated with a heart full of love and affection. "Of course we can," Tom said, ruffling Jack's hair. "Let's make this night unforgettable." They took turns launching the gadget one last time. Each flight lifted Tom's spirits as fear of the past slipped further from his thoughts. Their cheers echoed in anticipation, filling the night air with joy, but a flicker of longing lingered with the rays of twilight. The weight of tomorrow's conversation was an unavoidable reminder that the past must be addressed, clearer than any star up above. As the night deepened, Tom felt his resolve fading in sparks of uncertainty. "Hey, Kyle," he began carefully, heart racing. "We should really talk about the past, but not tonight. Let us go home tomorrow, with Jack. Maybe it's best we take this slowly. Can we promise each other that?" Kyle nodded, his expression softening as if a weight had shifted between them. "Yeah, I can do that. But remember, talking is a journey, not a race." Tom took a deep breath as they stood in the cool air thick with possibility. He looked down at Jack, who had now flopped back onto the grass, arms spread wide, gazing at the stars. In that moment, Tom caught the truth: the real journey was not only about facing fears but also guiding Jack on that path while creating beautiful moments together. "Here's to the journey, then," Tom said, raising an arm, and Kyle echoed the gesture. Jack bounded back to join them, eyes alight with joy. "Can we make a real rocket next?" Jack added, his thinking as expansive as the night sky stretched over them. Their laughter filled the air once more, undeterred by the shadows of doubt or fear. "Why not?" Tom said, feeling renewed. "Let us conquer the cosmos." And just like that, they became co-pilots, ready to travel through every challenge that awaited them. Side by side in the friendship they had once shared and the unwavering bond of family, they began to navigate the skies of their lives with not just hope but the promise of healing and connection. The night faded slowly, marking the end of one significant chapter and the dawning of another. In their hearts, They knew that tomorrow would bring its challenges, but they were no longer alone. They had each other, and with that bond, they could soar to new heights. As they walked toward the car, arms linked, laughter echoed behind them, a future shimmering just ahead. Tom took Jack's hand with a mixture of gratitude and bravery. This was their moment, full of love, sweeter than accolades. This was where they truly belonged. Now it's your turn to keep the momentum going. You need to subscribe now to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and make sure our community grows. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful transformation. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this heartwarming ending. Your support truly makes a difference.